Hello there, folks. Hey, this quick video today is going to talk about how to use a triggered snapshot data logger to log something interesting. In this case, I got a customer here that wants to log whenever the front door of the business opens and when the door closes, and they want to keep track of how much time that door was opened. So a couple things here on this application. If I go over here to data tags on the left, I want you to notice I got 3 tags here. One's called the door sensor. That could be tied to a discrete sensor on the door. Another one's called a trigger tag. I'll talk to that a little bit here. And then I have another integer tag called time on. That's going to keep track of how much time the tag or the door has been open. So let's look at the door sensor first. All of these are internal for testing, but they can be mapped to I/O, no big deal. But anyway, I've got on the triggers tab, I've got a couple triggers going on here. One, active on, when the door first goes on, I need to write a value to the data logger indicating it went on. And then when the door closes, I also want to write a value to the data logger there as well. Okay, let me talk about the data logger. In this case, if I go over to data logger on the left, and I want you to see here that in this one, on the setup tab, I'm using, in this case, whoops, that's not the one I want to use. I'm using a triggered snapshot here. A triggered snapshot, not the usual continuous, but in this case, a trigger snapshot. And what that means is that basically anytime the trigger thing down here goes from a 0 to 1, then I'm going to write a value. And you can see here that in this trigger snapshot, I have it set up with these parameters. I'm taking a reading once a second, or possibly could trigger once a second. Each file holds 86,400 samples. If you do some simple math, 60 seconds times 60 minutes times 24 hours a day, you're going to find out, folks, that there are 86,400 samples or seconds in a day. And then retain at most, I have that set to 30. That means after 30 days goes by, or 30 files, I'm going to delete the oldest. So this guy's set up to keep track of the stuff that happens every day. It's going to be every day in this case. And then if I go to the contents tab, I have two tags in here, and that is the door sensor and the time on. Okay, back to the setup. This, again, I said it earlier, but I'll say it again. Whatever tag here has to transition from 0 to 1 for that trigger instance to happen. So if I go back to data tags, notice the door sensor trigger I've got active on. I have this written here. If I hit the edit button, I want you to see that does 2 things. One, it sets the trigger tag to a 1, and then it resets the time on. And then if I go to the off one, hit the edit for the off, you'll see it does the exact same thing here as far as the trigger tag. It sets that to 1. Okay, so if I go to the triggers tag, look at this. I'll call that guy back. On the triggers tag, you can see here, active on, reset the trigger tag after 1,000 milliseconds or after 1 second. So that just basically resets it. That keeps the trigger tab a rising edge. Anytime the door sensor goes on, it goes to a 1, then back off again. Anytime the door sensor goes to an off, the trigger tag goes to a 1 and then back off again. That will execute all of my readings. And then, of course, the contents, there's the values. All right, so, and then to keep track of the time that the door has been opened over here in programs, I have a really simple program that says if the door sensor equals 1, that asks the question, then I add up the time here. And this program called Timer Logic is only being executed over here on the left on display pages. And then if you click on the word pages right here above, you can see on tick, I'm running it there. And all you do, team, is go to the right programs and simply grab that program and drag and drop it right here. Of course, you can also type that in there as well. Anyway, so that's what's happening. Let's go ahead and test it and see what happens. We'll download to the unit. We'll go over here. Here's our unit. Let's go to remote view. So here we are. We can turn on, pretend the door open. Boom. Door open. Notice that the timer starts to count up. I'll call that guy back as well. So the timer's counting up. If I go ahead and position the door closed, there it is. It says time on was 10. Let me write that down. I'm going to, because I want to show you this. So that one was 10 seconds. If we go ahead and open again, got to let it run for at least a second. So we'll do this entry, say 5 seconds. We'll turn it off. I'll put another little note on my piece of paper to 5. Let's go ahead and run another one here. We'll let this run a little bit longer. All right, that one I'll let run 30 seconds or 31. Go ahead and turn that off. And we got a 32 entry in there. All right, got plenty of stuff going on here. Now, normally, team, the DataLogger writes to the SD card every 2 minutes. So if I don't wait here, we may not see this data, but hey, let's try it. So I'm going to hit the back arrow here. I'm going to go to View Logs. Boom. I got log 1. I click on this. And then here's the file. Notice, because I'm creating one file a day, if you notice 24/10/800, today is October 10th, the 10th month, the 8th day of 2024. So that's the current file. If I click on this, it brings in all the tests I've been doing this morning, so forth here. Let me hit the back arrow here, and can't really see that. So if I right click and do Save Link As, I'm going to save this to my desktop. Two things are going to change here. I need to change the .csv for the file format, and then down here, do all files. That way I can write it. I'll go ahead and override the ones here. We'll save. Say yes. All right, now that's done, I can click on it or open it up here. Should open up in Bill Gates' little program. Now, I've been playing with this all morning, so here you can see I've got some timestamps. But if I go all the way to the bottom here, I can see, now it didn't register the 32 yet because I probably went in this too soon. But if you look here, the 0 is when the door opened. So this is military time. And then when it closes, that's how long it was in here. So I'm missing the 32 that's not on here yet. So if I go ahead and close this, I'm not going to save it. 1178, that if I refresh, let's see if it updated yet. No, I hadn't updated yet. It will here in a second. All right, hit F5 this time, refresh. Now it says 1206. Let's try this again. Let's save link as. We're looking for that last entry 32 times, so change this to .csv. File type there. Let's hit save. I'll just click on override. Boom. Yes, please. All right, let's open this time. Let's see if the last entry this time is 32. Booyah. Look at their team. Make that a little wider. There it is. That, my friend, is a trigger snapshot. Does exactly what the customer wants. Two things. Keep track of the time the door opens, which is right there, the on. And then when it closes, keep track of that. Plus, add a column for how long it was on. Now, you can change the name of the tag, but anyway, that's it. That's pretty cool. So if you want to copy this database or so forth, don't be afraid to let me know. I'll send it to you. The important thing here, team, let me get back to my main listing here, is that I'm using the Triggered Snapshot to do this logic. So that's pretty cool. Hey, thanks a lot, folks. Have yourself a great day. We'll see you later.